Thank you, Administrator. And that was an item that was just for information. That takes us to the mayor's agenda. Item number 1 is a proclamation proclaiming June 19th through September 30th, 22 as a commemoration of 400 years of African-American history. I ask the clerk to read the proclamation.
Proclamation, whereas from its federal enactment in January 2018, Public Law 115-102, through its sunset in June 2023, the 400 Years of African American History Commission, 400 YAAHC, will fulfill its charge to educate the public about, recognize, and highlight the resilience and contributions of African Americans. And whereas the 400 YAAHC and its collaborative partners invite municipalities throughout the country to join us in commemorating the history and spirit of freedom exemplified on and beyond the 2022 Juneteenth Independence Day through Freedom Forward. And whereas the quest for freedom began in 1619 at Fort Monroe, when 20 and odd Africans arrived at Fort Monroe, Virginia, were traded as property, and when subsequently the location became known as Freedom's Fortress, unique as property, and when subsequently the location became known as Freedom's Fortress, unique as the site of the beginning of enslavement and later the beginning of the end of slavery. And whereas on June 19, 1865, nearly 9 decades after our nation's founding, and more than 2 years after President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, enslaved Americans in Galveston, Texas, finally received word that they were free from bondage. And whereas states and entities across the country have embraced, designated the month of September as International Underground Railroad Month, recognizing the courage and determination of the enslaved prior to and beyond emancipation, as well as the expansive but clandestine network of assistance engaged in a dangerous yet determined quest for freedom. And whereas during the 2022-2023 school year of Freedom Forward, National History Day and partners herein invite students to research topics related to the ongoing quest for and preservation of freedom through the theme, Frontiers in History, People, Places, Ideas. And whereas we move towards the 250th anniversary of this country, we must unite in our drive to achieve a more perfect union, and we must accept our responsibility to confront and eliminate any entrenchments which threaten the administration of justice and America's true greatness. And whereas from June 19th through September 30, 2022, mayors and municipalities across the country are invited to join with the 400 YAAHC and partners in appreciation of freedom as a commitment to recognize the power of our diverse stories while never losing sight of our common bonds as Americans. Now, therefore, I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor, CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim June 19th through September 30, 2022, as a commemoration of 400 years of African-American history in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, and urge all citizens to honor these dates and beyond as a period of reflection, culture, and public education, earnest assessment, and planning to invite, imagine, involve, and inspire all to cherish and respect equality and freedom for all.
Thank you. Item number 2 is a proclamation proclaiming August 2nd, 2022 as National Night Out. Clerk, could you read that proclamation?
Proclamation, whereas the National Association of Town Watch is sponsoring a unique nationwide crime, drug, and violence prevention program on August 2nd, 2022, entitled National Night Out. And whereas the 39th Annual National Night Out provides a unique opportunity for Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, to join forces with thousands of other communities across the country in promoting cooperative police community crime prevention efforts. And whereas the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, plays a vital role in assisting the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department and the Wyandotte County Sheriff's Office through joint crime, drug, and violence prevention efforts in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, and its supporting National Night Out 2022 locally. And whereas it is essential that all citizens of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, be aware of the importance of crime prevention programs and the impact that their participation can have on reducing crime, drugs, and violence in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas. And whereas police community partnerships, neighborhood safety, awareness, and cooperation are important themes of the National Night Out program. Now, therefore, I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor, CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim August 2nd, 2022 as National Night Out in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, and call upon all residents to join the National Association of Town Watch in supporting the 39th National Night Out.
Thank you, Clerk. Item number 3 is an update on the county administrator search. What I can tell you, commissioners and public, is that there's an RFP put out. It closed on the 1st. I'll let the county administrator talk more to that on a process that she's put in motion.
Interim County Administrator Cheryl Harrison Lee. The deadline for receiving RFPs for recruitment firms interested in providing executive search services ended on the 1st of July. We received responses from 4 firms. The staff is now reviewing those proposals from the firms, doing reference checks, and we anticipate that at the next meeting, we'll have a recommendation on a search firm.
Thank you. I've also asked that each commissioner bring forward 2 selections to go on a selection task force that will assist this search firm. I've already selected the chair, Mayor Harrington from Bonner Springs, who's tentatively agreed, as well as BPU President, Mr. Johnson, as the co-chair. And I know that Melissa Bynum, at-large district commissioner, as well as at-large district commissioner Tom Burrows, have taken the lead to work with the commissioners to get their appointments to this task force as well. There should be 2. One would be the commissioner's primary, and then the secondary would be a backup in case of the absence of the primary. The goal is to, when the search firm, before it's actually recommended for selection, I've asked the administrative staff to get that information to our commissioners, so you all could have a chance to review the process, why that firm was selected, to be able to ask any questions in regards to their expertise in the area of these searches, request staff to go back if necessary, and then that information will get to the administrator, and she'll ultimately get that to me. And hopefully by that point, we should have both the selection team and the selection firm in place, and they could start working on the process. The ask I will be giving the selection team is to make sure that we involve our business community, our employees, as well as the community in a survey prior to putting out a call for interest for the job opening. So that information can be included as part of the job description requirements that would coincide with the recommendations from the search firm. After that point, timelines and things of that nature, I really don't want to micromanage it from that point on at all. Really, the process will be conducted by, in collaboration with the search firm and the search task force. And hopefully they can get 3 candidates that can be evaluated. And ultimately, when we get to 2, I would like for the commission to interview both of those candidates, and then have the search firm go back, take that information, and then make a recommendation to me on who they recommend to be the next county administrator as part of that process. So my involvement would be at the very end based on the recommendations I get throughout this process. So that's an update there. Are there any questions from any of the commissioners in that regard? Okay, this takes us to the regular consent agenda. Do any members of the commissioner or county administrator wish to set aside any item on the regular consent agenda? If an item is not set aside, all items on the regular consent agenda will be voted on by one vote. Okay. I see none.
McKiernan, District 2, move to approve as submitted.
Okay, I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Bynum, second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Roll call. Ramirez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Markley,
Aye.
Stites, Davis,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
The vote is 9-0. The motion carries.
Thank you. We're going to pause just for a minute as there may be some technical issues. Viewers for the disruption in the live feed. We're going on to our next item on our agenda. And this is a final public hearing concerning the 2022-2026 Consolidated Plan and associated documents. I'll ask Ms. Wilba Miller, the Director of Community Development, to make some opening remarks.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, County Administrator, and visitors. The Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do you have my, receives an annual allocation of entitlement funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the following programs: Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnership, and Emergency Solutions Grant. In order to receive these funds, the Unified Government must submit a consolidated plan to HUD every 5 years. The 22 Annual Action Plan, 22 Analysis of Impediments to Fair Housing, and the updated Citizen Participation Plan are all included in this submission. The consolidated plan consolidates the 3 grant programs into a single application, which includes a description of the projects and activities expected to be undertaken using grant funds and any expected program income. The plan also includes actions that the UG expects to take during the program year to preserve strategies. No, I guess that is. The UG must hold 2 public hearings to inform the community about the plan process, and to obtain community input. The first public hearing was held on March 31st, 2022, prior to developing the draft plan. The draft plan was also published on June 2nd, 2022, and citizens were given 30 days to comment. We are fulfilling the second public hearing requirement tonight. In addition to these HUD required engagements, we also held a survey with 142 participants, 30 stakeholders interviewed, 4 community workshops, and 2 targeted focus groups. This slide summarizes the top needs identified by the community. As you can see, housing needs, public service needs, homeless needs, etc. We use that community input along with local, regional, and federal data sources to identify 6 goals for our plan. 1, improve housing access and quality, provide housing and services for people experiencing or at risk of homelessness, provide other public services for low and moderate income households, improve public facilities and infrastructure, support economic development, and planning and admin. This slide shows the annual action plan that identifies a number of projects to be working towards these goals. Projects are summarized in the following projects are summarized in the following slide shown by grant, program, and activity. This activity is the Community Development CDBG grant. As you can see, we have home repair, housing, Gill, livable neighborhoods, and area master plan activities. As a side note, the area master plan activities that we're looking at right now are the Boston Daniels Park, and if we have money to help, Parkwood Park, and then CDBG administration. The home projects, we're setting aside money for the Chodos community housing development organizations such as Mount Carmel and CHWC, and subrecipient monies for rehab, new construction, for instance, Habitat. We have taken our CHIP program, our down payment assistance program, out. We haven't had good attendance to it for 2 years. Our clients, the low mod income clients, are being outbid for houses. They just can't get it. So what we decided to do is work on the housing part of the program. Okay, and then the last one is the Emergency Solutions Grant projects. This is for activities such as homeless agencies or near homelessness activities for people like Friends of Yates, Crosslines, Avenue of Life, and we have probably 6 or 7 subrecipients that receive these monies. After the community engagement and review of the data, we have identified 6 impediments. Nope, sorry. This slide shows community responses to the fair housing question. In addition to the consolidated plan, we will be submitting an analysis of impediments to fair housing. All HUD activities are required to affirmatively further fair housing, and this analysis identifies activities to help meet the requirement. Please note that we do not receive any special or dedicated funding to carry out fair housing activities. The community survey included questions about fair housing. This slide shows barriers to fair housing that were identified by community members. Number 1 is neighborhoods need investment and revitalization. The next 4 barriers all relate to the affordability of housing. This slide shows the community responses to the questions. Do you know where to file a fair housing complaint? You can see that less than 40% of respondents know where to file a complaint. This shows that we have an opportunity to increase education around fair housing issues. After the community engagement and review of data, we have identified 6 impediments to fair housing. In the plan, there are a number of recommended actions for the unified government and partners to take in the next 5 years to address each of these impediments and increase fair housing in Wyandotte County. You can see low labor market engagement and limited incomes, restrict housing choice and access to opportunity among protected classes, the continued need for neighborhood reinvestment in areas with high poverty rates and low level of access to resources and services. Housing options for persons with disabilities are limited. Historical disinvestment in housing condition disproportionately affects protected classes. Multifamily uses are severely restricted by both policy and implementation of the zoning code, and lack of strong networks limits ongoing progress towards fair housing goals. The consolidated plan must be submitted to HUD 45 days prior to the fiscal year that starts October 1st, which means submission can be no later than August 15th, 2022. Failure to submit by August 15th will automatically result in a loss of funds. A resolution calling for the adoption of the 2022-2026 consolidated plans and attachments will be presented to the commission for approval during the meeting on July 28th, 2022. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. I will now open the public hearing and ask the clerk if any notifications were received from the public who wish to express their comments regarding this item.
No comments were received.
Is there anyone present who would like to speak on this item? If so, please come to the podium, be recognized. Once you have been acknowledged, we ask that you provide your name and city of residency for the record. You will be given up to 3 minutes to state your comments. Seeing none, is there anyone online who would like to speak to this item? If so, please raise your hand to be recognized. Once you've been acknowledged, we ask that you provide your name and city of residence for the record. You'll be given up to 3 minutes to state your comments.
No hands are raised.
If there are no further comments from the public, I will close this public hearing. Do any members of the commission have any questions or comments? Hearing none, that will conclude this item this evening. I don't believe there's any action. So we're going to go to our standing committees agendas. And the first one is an item number 1 resolution, set a public hearing date for 505 Central. I'll ask Commissioner Burrows to make some opening remarks.
Mayor, all this does is set the hearing date for 5:05. We've all had an opportunity to hear the presentation a number of times. This just sets the hearing date.
Any members of the commission have any comments or questions in this regard?
McKiernan, move to approve the resolution as submitted.
Commissioner Burrows, second.
All right, there's no comments or questions. I have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any further discussion about this matter? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Roll call. Ramirez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Markley,
Aye.
Stites, Davis,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
The vote is 9-0. The motion carries.
Item number 2 is a resolution adopting procedures for redistricting commission districts. This item was first tracked from the Economic Development and Finance Standing Committee meeting on Monday, July 11th, chaired by Commissioner Burrows. I ask Commissioner Burrows to make some opening remarks.
Mayor, thank you. The committee is chaired by my friend and colleague, Commissioner McKiernan.
Okay, well, it looks like Commissioner Burrows assigned Commissioner McKiernan that task. So Commissioner McKiernan, you have some remarks.
Just for a second, I thought I had escaped. So on Monday night, Mr. Conway from Legal did give us a presentation about where we are and how COVID and other factors have led us to a timeline that he and the legal team have put together to get us to redistricting our commission districts in time for the 2023 election cycle. If the committee heard his presentation and was in agreement with the timeline that he set out, that item was approved unanimously by the standing committee to be brought here. If any members of the commission wish to hear from Mr. Conway, I'm sure that he can answer questions and give additional information.
Thank you. Do any members of the commission have any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
McKiernan, District 2, move to approve the resolution as submitted.
Markley, second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this matter? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Roll call. Ramirez,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Markley,
Aye.
Stites, Davis,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
The vote is 9-0. The motion carries.
All right, I have 2 procedural items that I need to do. One is the first one is I'm going to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Did I have a motion?
Oh, Bynum moved to adjourn our regular session.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Ramirez,
Aye.
Markley,
Aye.
Stites. Oh, excuse me, I've got the Ramirez. Let me start over.
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Markley,
Aye.
Stites, Davis,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burrows,
Aye.
Townsend, McKiernan.
Aye.
The vote is 9-0. The motion carries.
The last item is we went in executive session, a special meeting, and we have come back out of that meeting. So we no longer require an extended special session or executive meeting. No further action on that. I just need a motion to adjourn, and we will do that. Just all in favor, if you could just say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.